Hello. We're doing another reading today. If this reading found you, make sure you use your discernment as to whether this is for you. Just tap in and ask your team. Don't try and make it fit. Most likely it's for you. Whoa. If you're still here. Judgment. Liberation. It's coming. Liberation is coming. Yo. Page of Pentacles. I'm going to get a few more. And then I'll speak to them. Whoa. Okay, Nine of Swords together with the Four of Cups. Does that focus? Nine of Swords, Four of Cups. And one more, please. Whoa. Okay. Oh, okay, we got three more. Ace of Wands in reverse, King of Cups, and Page of Cups. Okay. All right. Liberation is coming. There's an offer that somebody has been sitting on, dilly-dallying or dwelling on. Can you see the page? Just staring at her pentacle. Doesn't necessarily have to be a feminine. But somebody, I'm not sure what energy, divine masculine, divine feminine I'm tapping into, could be both. Somebody has been dilly-dallying or looking at their pentacle, their offer, and wondering whether it's enough. Somebody wanting to come towards you, wondering if what they have to offer is enough, and they've been consumed by fears, by doubts, and they've either been guided themselves or they've found their own way towards stillness, towards meditation, towards a pause where they have been able to see that this has come to them, this construction of this offer, the desire to construct this has come to them from the universe, from God. And that the fears that have come up as a result of looking at this offer and saying, can I actually present this offer, is a representation of the ego that is trying to stop them. And we know that the ego does this very strongly right before an ego death. An ego death is an identity death, right? An old version of you that has to die. Presenting an offer that requires new elements or a new identity, requires vulnerability, is terrifying to the ego that's very comfortable in control, in certainty. And there's a pull for this person from their soul. This is the liberation energy that I was feeling. There's a pull from this energy, there's a pull for this person from their soul for liberation. And it seems that with the rest of the cards here, they have suppressed, Ace of Wands in reverse, they have suppressed an energetic passion or a passionate new beginning for themselves because of these fears and because of the loudness of their ego. And it seems that through this stillness that they've cultivated or been guided to, they have understood that it is the ego, that they are fears from an old identity that is trying not to die within them. I think this person has started to open their heart and started to understand the path to liberation comes from the heart. It doesn't come from the mind. The ego works in the mind, but in the heart you find truth. And I see this person, because the Page of Cups and the King of Cups came kind of on top of the Ace of Wands in reverse, I think this desire, this energetic pull for this passionate new beginning, which was repressed, that desire in them never left. It stayed there repressed, and I think they thought, or their ego thought, that they could just get away with not looking at it anymore. I think that because it never left, through that stillness, it allowed this person to understand that the way forward is to open their heart. And we start with the Page of Cups, and we have the King of Cups, which is the seat of emotional maturity. And I just heard gaining emotional wisdom, opening up your heart, allowing yourself to see yourself, to allow yourself to have desires, allow yourself to give in to a softer side, a softer version of you, allow yourself to really get curious with yourself and get curious as to why you behave in certain ways or why you react in certain ways and how you actually want to react and how you actually want to respond. And the sequence in which I think this occurred is there was a pull for liberation from the soul, which left this person looking at the offer or what they had to offer to you in that particular moment, which led to the rise of the fears and this overwhelming, debilitating, I heard, experience where they were then guided, or yes, I heard yes, guided to stillness to understand why this repression happened. Right? There's a massive awakening here for this person. There's a card here that wants to pop out, so we're going to take it, and it's Strength. I think that this person is discovering. It's interesting. I'm tapping into this energy as in this is the energy of somebody that you watching, you are connected to them. This is not your energy that I'm tapping into. I think this person has discovered the strength in opening the heart. Whereas previously, I think that this person believed that to open the heart was weakness. We've all been there. We're not going to judge that. It's an old belief. It's common. But they've rediscovered their strength. Okay, very interesting. I think that you are feminine and we're tapping into the masculine that you're connected to. And remove gender. You can identify with divine masculine energy predominantly, or you can identify with divine feminine energy. We're talking about energy, but we are talking about, it seems, union, divine union. So we have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse and the Empress. So I think that our masculine, the one that you're connected to, that whose energy I'm tapping into, rejected their honor, I heard, or the honorable way forward, the duty of the duty or responsibility, and responsibility, not all, of being with you. Being with you is not easy. It's not easy. You are an empress. That's a lot of responsibility. What do we know about the empress? The empress's counterpart is the emperor. The empress is a divine feminine who has integrated lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson, and she has evolved to this empress energy, not by accident, but because of all of these ascensions that she's been through. So your masculine, what happened with him is he refused, he rejected the responsibility, which is, I think, why he repressed the very passionate desire to have a new beginning with you, because it's a lot. You have to confront everything. You can't, there's nothing that you can hide from as a masculine when you're confronted with your counterpart, with your divine feminine counterpart. You can't hide anything. You can't get away with anything. Vice versa, by the way, as a divine feminine, you can't get away with anything. If you signed up to the divine union journey, this is one of your priorities on earth. This is one of your priorities in terms, it's part of your mission, right? Divine union, coming into physical union in your lifetime, requires absolute truth, which requires absolute responsibility and accountability. There is nothing that you can hide from your counterpart. Okay? I just heard take a breath. Take a breath. High Priestess. You know how some people say the High Priestess is the ascended Empress? So it's the divine feminine energy that sits above the Empress. I think that you have been continuing to evolve, and you just keep raising your frequency to the point where you are in a seat where you are able to intune almost everything. I just heard you've cleared your vessel so much, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You've cleansed, you've purged so much, you've unraveled so many old mechanisms that led to the construction of your old reality. Some that were yours, that had been conditioned into you, but some that actually belong to your ancestors. Five of Cups in reverse. I just got chills. I think you, ooh, baby girl. Do you realize how much shedding you've done? You have shed a lineage, like lineages worth of shit. You've come out of a darkness that was so dark because a lot of it was not yours. And that's a lot of responsibility. I know, trust me, I know. And it's a lot of work, and it feels like it's never ending. But this is what you signed up for. You signed up to be the one to clear, to cleanse, to reprogram. You signed up for a divine union journey, because what does the divine union journey mean? It means nothing within you can be hidden. It means that you will be triggered to the nth degree. And what do we know about being triggered? We know that our wounds come up and are revealed. So then we have an opportunity to heal them. And I think everything that you have experienced in your life has allowed you to reveal wound after wound after wound after wound, to heal and heal and heal and heal. And you've done it. I get this immense feeling of pride from your team. I think from yourself as well. You feel very proud of yourself, but it's this message of me being here to remind you to be proud of yourself and to really take stock of how many lessons you have learned, how much you have integrated. I am not talking to somebody who's had one spiritual awakening or who has learnt to reprogram 2 or 3 beliefs. No, I'm talking to somebody who has been through cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle. And every time you closed out a cycle, you had this feeling of, okay, there can't be anything else. And then there was something else. And then there was something else. And then there was something else. The devil, obsessive energy, could be toxic energy. I just want to clarify before I speak. Oh, okay. The 4 of Wands. I think you watching are now at a point where you are obsessed. You have tunnel vision about this 4 of Wands energy, which is your union, which is kind of like the finale, the finish line. Like you've gotten to this point where you're like, I know I've ascended to high priestess status. I know what I have done. I am proud of what I have done. But now you're in this void and you have this obsessiveness over the finish line. And I think you have this obsessiveness over the finish line, i.e. union, physical union with your counterpart and the life that comes with it, because it's here. Because it's right around the corner. I don't feel a negative obsessive energy. That's why I said it could be toxic, but I need to confirm. The moon. I heard all will be revealed soon. Do we need to know anything? Oh, I was going to ask, do we need to know anything else about their masculine? 7 of Pentacles. Remember, we had the Page of Pentacles in the beginning, and it's this feeling of this masculine, when we were talking about the sequence of events, being pulled towards freedom, taking stock of what he had to offer, and then all of his fears coming up, blah, blah, blah. Page of Pentacles, he has 1 pentacle. I think I just asked, where is the masculine at? And before I finished asking, the 7 of Pentacles came up. Your masculine has done work. He's kind of digged up a lot of shit. The masculine's at this point of reflection, at this point of, again, taking stock and looking at what he has to offer. There's a lot more now that he has to offer, because by the same token, he's also been doing the work, if you're in a divine union journey, you're not connected to somebody, you're not connected to the energy of somebody who is not doing the work. You're connected to somebody who mirrors you. So if you've been uprooting beliefs, uprooting, closing out cycles, etc., your masculine's been doing the same. So he's at this point where he's taking a step back and taking stock of what he now has to offer, as after having also learned a load of lessons and uprooted a lot of crap. Knight of Wands. I'm not reading this as he's coming. I'm reading as he's impatient right now. He's feeling impatient. What is he feeling impatient about? And why? Ten of Pentacles. Okay, I understand. He's feeling impatient because he's taking stock of what he has to offer, and he's impatient about predominantly his wealth situation and the fact that he wants to just be there wherever there is for him. He has this idea of where he wants to be financially in order to be able to offer that to you and come correct in that regard. There's a big focus and there's a lot of impatience around where he wants to be financially for you. Okay. Anything else we need to know? My back hurts. You gotta fly. You gotta fly. Page of Wands in reverse. Can you clarify? Five of Wands in reverse. Okay, and this one because it wants to pop out. Okay. Okay. Page of Wands in reverse. Five of Wands in reverse. I don't know which one came out first, but we have the Chariot, the Emperor, the World. Okay. There was a block. There's always blocks, right? We're used to this. There was a block from the masculine side around competition, conflict. And I'm not feeling this in the sense that he was conflicted because he believed that he'd have to fight off the competition or whatever for you. It was more like conflicting priorities in his life, right? And there's this feeling of love is stupid. Like love shouldn't be a priority. Like I've got to survive, I've got to provide for my family, I've got to build my future. Like I can't focus on love. I've got to stabilize myself financially. I can't focus on love. This was the block, right? It seems that with the World card coming out, again, I'm not sure which order these came out in, but they came out together. There's a cessation. Is that how you say that word? There's a closing out of this rumination and these competing priorities. And there's an understanding as to the wholeness of it. Meaning there's an understanding by the masculine that love, finances, purpose, these things, these categories, because the masculines categorize a lot more than the feminines and they compartmentalize a lot more than the feminines, there's a realization that these categories can coexist and these categories can live in harmony and they can live simultaneously. So the world in this reading, I'm feeling it. Yes, there's a closing out of that rumination, but it's a twofold meaning. The world is everything, right? If you think about the world, it's where we live. It's everything. I want to give you the world. Let's whatever. I'm not thinking of a proper way to explain this. It's this understanding that everything can coexist in his world. He doesn't have to compartmentalize it. Love can fit in there. So can family. So can career. Right? And that was the block, but that's the completion of the block in understanding the harmony of all the compartments. The Emperor card and the Chariot. Now the Chariot is your forward movement, coming forward, coming to get you. I don't feel a massive urgency like I did with this Knight of Wands, his impatience about his finances. This feels very stable and steady and calm and purposeful. It seems that your masculine has risen to the Emperor status. He did all the work that he did was in honor of the calling that he has to rise to Emperor status, to participate in the divine union journey and complete his mission and assume the responsibility that comes with being an emperor. And part of the responsibility that comes with being an emperor is taking care of the empress. And to take care of an empress, it's not just about building financial stability. There is so much more to it than that. As a provider and a protector, you don't just provide financial stability and safety, and you don't just protect physically. You provide an emotional container for the feminine. You provide a spiritual container for the feminine. The feminines naturally are more connected to the divine, to creativity, to expression, to fluidity. And if you think about water, you pour water, it's going to go everywhere unless you have it in a container. If you think about just pouring water from a jug, it's in a jug, it's in a container, or from the tap. Water needs to be contained in order for it to remain and to flow in whatever container it is. There's a sense that the masculine has been building that container in the different categories of life. And one of them, very important for him, is the finances. Another one that seems to be more important for you, which he came out here as having started to develop and understand the need for the development of that area, is the emotional side, right? Remember, we had the Page of Cups and the King of Cups, and then the Strength card to symbolize how his view on tapping into the heart and developing his emotional side and his emotional maturity changed. And he understood how much strength it takes to be vulnerable and how much strength it takes to develop your emotional side. This is beautiful and very calming, very steady. It feels very grounded. So if you're still watching, This is beautiful. Okay, final card. The Wheel of Fortune. Times are returning, darling. It seems that both of you have really listened to your souls, really listened to that pull to be free. It seems that that has been the driving force for both of you, and you've both been willing to put so much on the line and to just get shit done. It seems that you were ahead of the game, and there was a lot of resistance initially from your masculine, but there's been an assumption of responsibility from his end. There's been a maturing, there's been a development, there's been a rising. And your obsession with wanting physical union and wanting to reach the finish line and wanting to reach that happy, I'm home, I made it, that feeling, there's a reason behind that obsession. And the reason behind that obsession is because you can feel it so close. I'm not going to tell you not to be obsessed or to stop being obsessed, but, you know, I find it best when you just allow yourself to feel and think whatever you want. But just remember to give yourself a break, you know, and to not put pressure energetically on the masculine, and to not put pressure on yourself energetically, and to say, I'm allowed to be obsessed with wanting union, and I'm allowed to be obsessed with wanting this to materialize fast, and I'm allowed to be sad that it's not here, but I choose to continue to trust, and I choose to continue to surrender to the flow, to this dance that we've been doing. And I continue to choose to honor myself for all the work that I have done. And maybe a nice thing for you to do, which I believe I mentioned earlier in this reading, when I channel, sometimes I forget what I've said, is remember to take stock of everything that you have learned as a product of this journey. Because sometimes we just need to be reminded of how far we've come. And that's a good way for you to also regulate as you're managing that obsession. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a great night or day, and I'll see you in the next one.